My idol, and I guess in a way I am following his footsteps. He was a preacher, I'm a preacher now. Being a preacher in Islam, it gives me a whole lot of joy because I have the opportunity to take something brand new to people. And as a Muslim and as a preacher, as a cleric, what you find is that your major job is giving dawah. And dawah doesn't necessarily mean that you're speaking to somebody, but the way that your character, your akhlaq, how it is that you treat people. You know, when I go to jobs, the first thing I do is I establish the salah. I tell my boss, listen, I'm a Muslim, and I have to pray. Is there a room or area where I can pray, or do you mind if I leave the premises to pray? And I haven't had any problem. I've never had problems with anyone saying for me to pray, as long as it's on my time, my company time. I go and pray.
Do you think that's because you established that early? Here's my identity, here's who I am, what can you provide for me?
If you want something, you have to ask. And a lot of times we're afraid to ask. The worst thing they could say is no. But on my lunch break, I can always leave and go somewhere, and I can pray then and come back. But it's so much more convenient when I don't have to search out a place to pray, when I could go to a back room and I could have this area for myself and I could pray. Most people aren't able to establish the prayer at their job because they just don't ask. So if you knock, the door will be open. And if it's not open, then then you have other alternatives. So yeah, I think that definitely works.
I talked to you a little bit earlier about your present situation, but could you take us a little bit further now and elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, in my present state, what I do right now is my main emphasis is on the youth of every community. And as I said before, in Atlanta we have youth that are Indo-Pakistani, we have Iranians, we have Iraqis, we have African Americans, we have the full spectrum. We have the rainbow out there. Mm-hmm. And what I try to do is I emphasize on the youth, also the adults, but more so the youth, because with the adults, a lot of the adults, not to say that they're stuck in their ways, but in a lot of centers you find that tradition, culture is the things that pushes the community. But with the youth, they don't really identify with their parents that weren't born here. They don't really identify with the traditions of their of the parents. I'm reminded of a hadith by Imam Ali. It says that, and I'm paraphrasing here, that don't try to raise your son always like the way that you were raised. And there's a lot of wisdom in that.
You have to raise them in their own time.
That's right. There's a lot of wisdom in that. And what you find is that the parents, they're good people. And they want to raise their children the right way. But sometimes it takes a person that's been here, that understands this culture, and understands that this culture is anti-Islamic. I don't care how you slice it, dice it, or whatever it is you want to do with it. It is anti-Islamic. And if you don't do the things that you need to do to combat this anti-Islamic culture, then we're going to lose our children. And I have to say we are going to lose our children because the Americans that are Muslims, our children are going through the same thing that the children of the immigrant communities are going through. They hear the rap music, they see the things on television, they're getting pulled in by drugs and alcohol and things like that. I thought when I accepted Islam that, hey, it's haram to drink. You'll never see a Muslim drinking. Well, I'm a little older now. I've seen some things. But, alhamdulillah, for the mercy of Allah, that people here in this country are taking it upon themselves to either go to Qom or go to Lebanon or go to Syria to get the learning. But more importantly, alhamdulillah, our ulama here, our learned men here, they see a problem and they're addressing it. They're teaching people that are from here in this country, how to preach, how to understand Islamic law. So my job primarily is to promote Islam, to promote it within our communities. I teach a Sunday school class over at the Zanabia Center in Atlanta. On Friday nights, we stop right before the holy month of Ramadan. I was over at another center, Dari Abbas, with the youth over there. One of my biggest projects is I'm an advisor for the Muslim Student Association at a college there, Kennesaw State University. I've actually lectured in classroom settings. I've actually I've done a lecture on one of the books I've written, The Fall of Adam, a comparative analysis of the original sin, and it was a big turnout. A lot of Christians, a lot of atheists, a lot of Mormons. From that movement, from them coming to this class, there was another group started called the Faith Collective, where you have a whole section of people from all types of faiths that have Bible studies and things like that, and we come together and we meet up at the IHOP on a Friday night. On a Saturday night at about 10 o'clock at night, and we're there sometimes until 2 o'clock in the morning. Not, as we say here, beating people in the head or arguing about religion, but really trying to understand each other. And of course, we have to take the lead, because once you understand Islam, your wealth of information is so much deeper, is so much greater than anybody else's information. And if people don't really understand that, what you do is try to get a subject that everybody talks about. Let's talk about Jesus, alayhi salam. The Christians, they believe that Jesus is something that we don't believe he is. But in the Quran, every miracle that's talked about in the Bible about Jesus is recorded. He healed those that were born blind. He healed the leper. He raised the dead. He did these things. But there are two miracles that are recorded in the Quran that aren't mentioned in the Bible. What are the two? When he fashioned a bird out of clay and he breathed into it and it became a living bird by the permission of Allah, of course. Not his power, but by the permission of Allah. Alhamdulillah. And when he was a baby, his mother was told not to talk. So when the people asked his mother, may the peace and blessings be upon her, what happened to you, Mary? How did you have... You come from a noble family. Your father was not a bad man and your mother was a virtuous woman. The Quran so beautifully says, and she pointed to the babe. And he says, I am a prophet of God sent to you. And God has taught me the Torah and the Injil. These two miracles aren't mentioned in the Bible. So what we find is that the Quran, because it's not a book, it's not a fairy tale book. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to put these type of words in the same type of, when we describe in the Most High, but there's a definite method to the madness. All the verses on the subject, they're not in one place. They're in different places at different times. And because they're spread out so much, you just don't realize how much information is there. But when you bring it all together, you're like, wow.
Put the puzzle together almost.
It's actually putting the puzzle together. So being that we have such a wealth of information, we know what they know, they don't know what we know. We're actually the leaders in this faith collective. But it's a beautiful group, and you'll be amazed at how many people come and how many people are willing to learn about Islam. But, you know, I have to say at this point in time that every time you have a dialogue with a Christian or with someone that's even brothers from Ahlus Sunnah wal Jamaat, the school of the Khalifa, the thing that we have to remember is that not everybody is going to come into our ranks. But if we explain our position properly, now we have somebody that would be our advocate. We have somebody that will stand up for us and say, hey, you know, this is not what the Shia are all about. And while we're talking about what it is that I do, what I try to do is I try to go and I speak to the centers, and what we're trying to set up down in Atlanta right now is actually programs, because the dawah is there. People are wanting to come into Islam. In particular, they wanting to come into the Ahlul Bayt, and they want to join our ranks. But one of the problems that we're having is that it's very difficult to bring the people into our centers because there are very few English programs. Now, the thing that's really bad about it is that I go out and I give great dawah. You're willing, ready to take my shahada. You take your shahada. My center is right around the corner from you. But when you come to my center, you don't understand a word anybody's saying. Nobody's teaching you how to pray. Nobody's doing nothing. So you go 10 minutes away, 15 minutes away, 30 minutes away, even sometimes an hour away, to one of the schools of our brothers in the Sunni faith. And as soon as they walk in, they're teaching them how to pray. They're teaching them Arabic. They're bringing their kids in, and they have programs for their kids. So right now, what I'm trying to do is within our communities is to let them know that, hey, what we need to do is we need to actually set up classes for our new reverts. We need to have a program for them. We need, when they walk through the door, that not only do we teach you how to pray, but we need to have a DVD. Yeah, put the DVD in. We're going to teach you how to pronounce the words properly. We're going to show you how to do wudu properly. We're going to teach you all the things that you need to know. Not only that, but we're going to have programs in English for you. We need a curriculum. And this is my job, to set up this curriculum, to give dawah, have a place for the people to come in and learn what it is that they just came into. Because the more, what we have to realize, and especially those people that are in control of our senses, the thing that they have to realize is that when Islam grows, and it's growing by leaps and bounds in this country, that right now, you know, a lot of people, the people that you see out front, for the most part, that accept Islam are the African Americans. But statistics show right now that African Americans are not the people that accept in Islam the fastest anymore. In fact, they said that there are two groups that are ahead of the African Americans now: the whites and the Hispanics. In New York, in New Jersey, not New Jersey, but California, you have all Mexican or all Hispanic masjids that are coming up. Why aren't they Shia? Is it because we don't have the right information? Or is it that we're not taking them the information? We have to take them the information. We have to teach them Islam proper, because they don't know about Azadari, the love of Imam Hussein. They don't know about Imam Hussein, period. They try to just discredit all of that. So it's our job to tell them about these things, to give them the proper history of Islam, so they could join our ranks. And the thing that's the worst is, you introduce someone to Islam, And this is the reason why our centers have to change, not tomorrow, but today. We introduce people to Islam. They come into our centers. They can't learn anything from our centers. So they go to the Sunni centers. Except for it's not a Sunni center. It's a center that's ran by the Wahhabis or the Salafi Sallah. And you introduced them to Islam. You brought them into the love of the Prophet Muhammad. But now they're coming and they're telling you that this is bid'ah. You're committing shirk. You just became a Muslim yesterday because I introduced you to it. But now you're going to come and become my enemy? This is the reason why we have to have the programs. We have to have the curriculum. We have to have the pamphlets. We have to put these things together and readily put them in people's hands. People aren't Shia not because Shiism is not the way. We keep it to ourselves. And this is not the way of Rasulullah or the Imams of the household. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon them all. So this is my job.
Brother Hanif, just give me some last words, concerns, thoughts.
My words of advice for anyone that wants to deal with Islam would be, if you can't find a local center, then get on the internet and become a researcher. Look at this like it's academia. You're going out and you're searching for the truth. And we all search for the truth. If you can't find that center, find a good website. And when you find that good website, one of the websites that I tell anybody to get on, even if you do go to a center, alislam.org, al-islam.org. The books that we talked about earlier, Najib Balaga, the Quran, commentary on the Quran, any books about Islam that you really want to get into, you can find these books on this site. You can find lectures where you could download the lectures and actually listen to them on MP3. They have actual videos of lectures, debates, and all of these other things that you want to deal with for the youth. If you don't have a houser in your community, in your center, CYC online, cyc.england.org.com.org. There's a guy by the name of Ahmad Nakshawani. Love Ahmad Nakshawani. Love him to death. His lectures are geared towards the youth. He explains Islam in a way that's exciting to you. It makes you want to get out there and learn more. Not only that, but they have classes online teaching you beliefs. Not only that, but the sites in Michigan, you can actually go to Hausa online now. You can actually take tests online now, and people are giving good information. So right now, because we live in an information age, ignorance is not bliss. None of us have an excuse. The internet is accessible. Call people. Begin to go to conferences. If there's a conference online somewhere, and even though you may not know anyone at the conference, go to the conference anyway, because you're going to get email addresses, you're going to get phone numbers, and you're going to make friends. And these are the people that's going to keep you on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. These are the people that's going to bring the knowledge to you. These people are going to be your backbone. And they may know somebody that lives in the next town from you. That's a Shia. That moved from New York, that moved from Michigan, that moved from Atlanta, that moved near your hometown, that has a nice library that be able to teach you. Maybe you and this guy could get together and go out and do dawah. Maybe you guys could have meetings in your house where this week you have 2 or 3 people. Next month you have 4 or 5 people. The following month you have 8 or 9 people, to a point to where now you have to rent a spot. And before you know it, you have your own little community. So one of the things I learned as a Christian, and I'll close with this, is that in the Bible it says, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, and the mustard seed is one of the smallest seeds that you could ever see, you can move mountains. And the mustard tree is one of the biggest trees once it's fully matured. So if we have the faith, the resources are there. Go online, contact your local centers, and don't be afraid to ask questions, and give what God has given to us all, and that is Islam. Shukran, thank you for allowing me to come and speak to you guys.
Brother Hanif, thank you for sharing your story here with us today. It was very inspirational, and may God keep you going in your journey, inshallah. Now, brothers and sisters, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns about this show or any other show, please feel free to contact us at the address that's on your screen. My name is Wissam Bazzi. We'll see you next time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أسأله